The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is an epic Wednesday in the Riv, the day after the primary election, the much anticipated primary election that nobody knew about because the turnout was so bad. It's almost embarrassing. It is embarrassing.
The voter apathy is just, it's too much. I mean,
yeah, it is. It's discouraging, but you know something? Before we get to the election and a whole bunch of other stuff, we got a lot of stuff to talk about in today's show. But we have to comment on that. We always say, listen, do your homework and go vote, but you got to vote. You know, the people who just go, well, you know, it's just only a primary blah. No, that's you can't complain when this city is in the toilet. You can't complain when nothing's getting done if you don't go out and try to change it. It's irrelevant if you don't change it. What's relevant is if people continue to attempt to change it, it ultimately will be changed. But if you just sit on your dead butts in the house and then whine afterward, it's your fault. I'm sorry.
Correct.
I just had to get that one out.
No, I agree with you. I think that, you know, if you're not going to get off your butt to vote, then there's a problem. I think the bigger problem is this. There was no excuse for it because we have a mail-in ballot system now. It's not the old absentee ballot system where you had to have a medical reason or you were out of the area or one of those things. Now you can just file to have the application. You can just file the application to have the ballot mailed to you, and you can vote. And that can really kick up the amount of people who vote. And if they don't do it, then they truly got no excuse now. I voted by mail-in ballot. I voted for the other guy.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm still one of the old school guys. I went to the polls and I cast my ballot, but. You know, I mean, look at it. Imagine without the high rises where the ballots are right in house, the turnout we would have had.
I know.
I mean, it's just horrific. As you said, mail-in ballots. It was a beautiful day. You can't blame the weather. It was a gorgeous day yesterday.
Right.
Nice. You know, no, there's no excuse except absolute apathy, and you don't give, you know, and I know you're going to hear from the people. Because I call the people out when I run into people that I know, and and they complain. I said, "Did you vote?" Well, no, it was only a primary. Well, I don't look, and I'll be truthful. When it comes to partisan primaries, I normally don't vote unless there's one particular candidate that I really feel is a good candidate, and I voted in a Democratic primary and in a Republican. But this was a nonpartisan primary, and it was only one thing, to send a message that you're not happy with the way the city is going. And I think, you can say that, well, I know Coogan's probably running around saying, it's great, it was a great victory. But to me, it was a victory for voter apathy and the fact that nobody cares anymore in this city.
Right.
We have a giant malaise because when we get such a pathetic turnout, it means you don't give a crap that the politicians are crapping all over you. You're not happy. I've heard tons of people complain about Coogan not addressing all these issues he didn't address, walking around City Hall doing absolutely nothing. And
we hear about
nobody
higher taxes.
To vote.
We hear about higher taxes, higher water, higher sewer, and guess what? A vote for Paul Coogan is a vote for higher taxes, higher water, higher sewer. It's not a vote for the people. Yeah. Okay? And if you're voting for Paul because you got a movie out of the deal, hey, more power to you. If your vote can be purchased with a chow mein sandwich or a movie, do I really care about what your vote is? I mean, you make it easy to say, I want to get out of this city. And that's the sad part about it. And that's the truth.
And that's what's happening in the city. You're right. And I'll tell you, I look at this and it's hard to fathom, because when I look at what's going on here, you're right. Movies and it's like he's still in the school department dealing with high school kids.
Right.
That's what he does. And you know something? I got to give his campaign credit. It's dubious, but I got to give him credit. They went out because their candidate really doesn't have a record, and they did it the old school way. They leveraged unions. His brother came into the city to negotiate a contract, which he shouldn't have been. And I know there are pending complaints being prepared to go to the Ethics Commission and also maybe to other facets, because he came in and negotiated a contract with the school department. And so and that is a fact. I corroborated that at a meeting from someone who was on the bargaining team for the union that he was there with. So he was in the city of Fall River on the labor side. His other brother is on the management side, and his other brother's financing the contract. So that is wrong on so many levels that you can't even get into it. So that's the problem. But they really harped on, and it's Cliff's fault. Ceremonial mayor, full-time mayor. So, in reality, to me, he is a full-time. Paul Coogan is a full-time ceremonial mayor, because what has he done to bring businesses into Fall River? What has he done really aggressively to stop crime? What has he done about anything that's important? When has he faced an issue when a superintendent of schools run amok or somebody misappropriates funds? He fundamentally has done nothing. He's good at taking credit. I read the letter that was sent in by some of those unions that endorsed him. I know for a fact one wasn't even from Fall River. It was a Taunton local that his brother also has in his jurisdiction. And it talked about how he reduced health care. So I'm going to tell you, you're going to find something out early, because he's going to run right now. But he said he's provided lower cost health care. The only thing I know that Paul Coogan has done as the mayor of Fall River is try to screw every city employee by sticking them in the GIC and increasing their drug co-pays from $50 to $165, by increasing their out-of-pockets from $3,000 to $10,000, among other things, to make a massive cost shift. And the only reason we didn't go there was, number one, he was so clueless, he thought he could stick everybody in the lowest GIC plan. He didn't know that if we went into the GIC, that people had choices. They have a menu. And they would have all went for the PPO that would have cost the city more. So he hasn't done anything. And now there's a new plan for the retirees coming out. It's going to save a lot of money for the city. We're in the process of finalizing the negotiation. And he's going to take credit for it, because he already wanted to take credit for it. He was told it's not agreed to yet. When he agrees, he's going to take. But let me tell you something. His name's going to be on the MOU, but he didn't do anything on this. Give credit to where credit is due. His HR department, Madeline Coelho, Gallagher is the people who introduced it. They introduced the plan. He knows really nothing about the plan. He doesn't have a clue. All he knows is how much money it's going to save. Then he's going to say, "Look what I did." And is the city saving money on this plan? It seems so. But did he do anything about it? No. But will he take credit for it? Probably yes. And I'm going to say we do have lower cost healthcare plans in this city, but everything that's in place now that is giving us a lower cost was done when Paul Coogan, some of the stuff he was still working in the school department, and the rest was done when he was a school committeeman, not the mayor. The Canadian drug plan was negotiated while he was still teaching school, I believe, and the carve-outs for the prescription drugs were done when he was on the school committee. So those are the things that generate rebate. If he ever wants to debate me on the timeline of the healthcare, feel free to come on. We'll give him all the time he needs because he's clueless about that. And truly, in my opinion, and everything, like you said, CJ. If you want to say that a movie is enough to vote for a guy for mayor, to me, mayors aren't supposed to be doing movies, delivering PPEs. Mayors are supposed to be allowing their department heads to do their job, delegating those authorities, and working on moving this city forward, making it a safer place, a place where more people have jobs, and trying to be the representative of this city to encourage businesses to relocate to Fall River. How come I can drive to Somerset, Seekonk, and see national chains that aren't in Fall River? Our population blows those two communities away, but they got a Sonic in Somerset that's always packed. They got a Chick-fil-A in Seekonk. They got a whole bunch of things in Seekonk. But that's, to me, what a mayor is supposed to do. He is the captain of the ship, and he's supposed to take this ship out of dry dock and start moving. And he hasn't done that, and that's my opinion.
Well, I agree with you, and I think it's important. But I think one of the things that is more important right now is we got to tell the people actually how many votes were cast, because we're talking about voter apathy. 6,220 votes were cast. There were 2 blank ballots that were cast as well. Paul Coogan received 3,893 votes, or 62.7% of the votes. Cliff Ponte received 2,118 votes, or 34.11% of the vote. There were 15 write-in candidates. Michael Vandal, who we didn't hear anything about, got 50 votes. That was 0.81%. And James Albanaz got 133 votes, which was 2.14% of the total votes cast. Now, that doesn't say a lot for Fall River citizens, as we know. The voter apathy is terrible, but I gotta stay on top of this because we're gonna run out of time if we focus too much on all these side items. So, can Cliff overcome an 1,800 ballot difference? I don't think so. Unless he gets his people out there, unless he starts pushing those mail-in ballots, unless he starts making sure that on election day people are getting phone calls. Have you gone out and vote yet? Do you need a ride? I'll come and get you. These are things that should have been done during the primary, and he missed that. Okay? During the primary, I kept getting robocalls. Come out and vote, come out and vote. That's a wonderful thing. But people hang up on robocalls. When I see multi-caller, I just don't even bother answering. So, remember that when the general election comes up, Cliff, you need to really pull back your campaign and pull it together, because I think that the majority of voters that were going to vote for Paul have probably already done so. I think there's probably another 10 or 15% more that are definitely on his vote. But again, like you said, they said it's only a primary. Why bother voting? There were some complaints that were filed at the Fonseca School. The handicap ramp is all rutted and falling apart. At the Laterno School, the main doors were closed. They had to go in to vote over by the dumpsters, and the stench was horrible. The handicapped people couldn't get in. People with walkers had to be assisted in. That could be said that's kind of a detriment to voting too. I mean, did it affect 5 or 10 votes? Maybe, but I mean, these are things that need to be addressed by elections before the election. If it happens, change the site.
Well, I've got to disagree with saying that what we were talking about for are side issues. To me, they're the main issue. Voter, the reason you vote is because you pay attention to what's going on, and when you highlight what's not going on or what is going on, that's the most germane issue. But before I move off this, because as far as I'm concerned, if you don't now, you got a final election. If you don't get your butts up and vote, don't complain when Kenny Fiola rules the entire waterfront and is making money from every angle, and all these appointments that he's putting on his committees to ensure that the people that we always hear complaints about are in power again. Well, it's going to be your fault. But just to highlight the apathy, because I'll tell you, this is mind-boggling. And this is my last comment. Just go do your damn homework and vote. Otherwise, don't complain when this city that for the next 2 years gets more and more tax increases, more and more takeovers by the cabal, and we get a debt override as the final. But 5B1 vote total. 5 for Coogan, 2 for Ponte. 7 people. 6C1, 3-0, Coogan. 3 people. I mean, this is just, it's staggeringly incomprehensible that people are this blasé about their future. No wonder. I guess everybody that used to vote in the old days that could afford to pay attention and had good jobs all moved out. And
or died
behind, or died. And because, how you can be this oblivious, but it's going on nationally too. So something, the numbers are the numbers. Can Cliff Ponte win this in a final? Hopefully there'll be more than 6,000 people that show up, because there are school committee and city council races, and it's got nothing to do with but it will bring out people, and hopefully they will vote. But it's the message he's saying. His campaign has to shift gears. They did not get their vote out. They did not emphasize the right narrative, and they're going to have to make adjustments. Is this election a given? No. Do I think that but I think if he doesn't change his message, he's gonna probably lose. Does he have a chance of winning? Yeah, I think he does. But let's look at it. It's going to make it a lot more interesting. And with that, you got from now till November to pay attention, people.
And Cliff has from now until November to change his strategy, and he has to change his strategy altogether. Okay, Paul's position right now is that his campaign has done everything, including lie, cheat, and steal, to get. And I'm just using lie, cheat, and steal as a turn of phrase. I'm not saying that that Paul said that to turn a phrase. But he did say that people were lying about his family and his connection to the city, and you know what? That's fine. This is politics. This is the way it works.
Well, I don't know who he's saying was lying, but the fact that his brother negotiated a contract on the labor side is a fact. I confirm that fact. That isn't a rumor anymore. The fact that his brother is HR director is a fact.
Right.
And should that happen in labor? No. If I was sitting at a table and the mayor's brother came in to be the BA for me, I would say, I'm sorry, you can't be here, because now we've got Cougans everywhere.
Right.
And on both sides. And that is, the perception, and especially with his brother, who did not act in the best interest of his union when he was extricated from the firefighters union,
right,
on the state and local level. So,
right.
Those are facts. And if he wants to be upset, that's he can be upset. But the reality is, you got to give his campaign people, not him, because he's kind of clueless. He just wanders around up there like Joe Biden does in the White House. But you got to give them credit for running an old school, and you know that, CJ, an old school, strong arm, leverage, grassroots campaign.
Yeah,
they delivered.
yes,
They went out there and they went out there and they got people to endorse them. They got unions to send letters from other cities. They made deals. They did what they had to do, and that's politics.
exactly.
You can't fault them for doing what it took to win.
Nope.
And you can actually say kudos to them.
Yeah.
They identified how they had to run a campaign, and it was the only way, in my opinion, they could have run that campaign. Guess what? They did it, and they won the primary. So you got to,
they ran their campaign right. They identified their voters. They got them out to vote. They identified supporters. They got them out to vote. They identified organizations and people that will endorse them, and they advertised that. Those are the way a campaign is done.
Exactly.
Those are the way a campaign is done. For instance, you said that Cliff lost the Flint. Okay? He never once advertised or spoke about the fact that Carlos Caesar endorsed them. Never once. That's that, and that endorsement would have gone a long way. But again, now I'm off politics. That's it. I'm done.
So let's go. Since we talked about getting the ship out of dry dock, let's talk about the Harbormaster.
We'll only give him a little bit of time because we've got a sentence to talk about. But yes, the Harbormaster throwing a party boat. A party boat. We have received a video of a birthday party or a birthday message being filmed on the Harbormaster's boat with the Harbormaster at the wheel. And we've also received a picture of former City Councilor Pat Casey on the boat putting on her life vest. That is not what the Harbormaster is supposed to be doing. There's claims that and allegations that the Harbormaster is using the Harbormaster's boat to take his grandchildren out to see the water and everything else. That's not what the Harbormaster's boat is for. It is not what it's for. I will say one thing, and I gave the mayor the opportunity to address this before we even brought it out in public. I sent the pictures to the mayor's office. Ann O'Neill Souza received them, and she replied to me, and she said that the mayor is addressing it and that the police chief will also be addressing it. They passed the buck to the police chief. So we'll see what happens with that. But, he's not going to get fired because Paul doesn't like to fire people. And he's not going to get fired. He's not going to get fired because the police chief doesn't seem to want to fire people. And he's actually said that on a show. So it's going to be interesting to see what the way that's handled, for sure.
Yeah. And before we get off it quickly, I want tickets to the final booze cruise that they run with the Harbormaster runs before Jasiel finally is reports for incarceration.
There you go.
I think they're going to have a final booze cruise. Tickets may be available. But
there you are.
We're just speculating on that one.
Yep.
So, okay, let's get back to see that segue into Jasiel?
Yep, so that's it. That's the way it works.
All right, we're off and running.
We're up and running. That's right. Well, I'll tell you right now, 6 years and 3 years supervised probation. That was a slap in the face to the people of Fall River. What the hell was this judge thinking to relitigate this case? Because that's what he was doing. He was relitigating this case. I cannot believe he did that. He took the verdicts of the jury and threw them out. And, I don't care if he's able to do that. The verdict of the jury should be solid. But it wasn't.
Yeah, well.
And then the restitution amount isn't solid. We don't know what it is. The forfeiture amount, we don't know what it is. And the date he's supposed to report to prison, we don't know what it is. Yeah. So, well, is Woodlock becoming like the president?
Well, look, I'm going to talk to one of my, my attorney friend from Boston, who's a very, very, good litigator. And I'm sure there's been comments. I just want to know I've never seen that. And I've been to a lot of court. I've been in court a lot for the unions and stuff, and I've been to Boston courts numerous times because our attorney was based in Boston. And I always knew that the judge has the ability to set aside a verdict from a jury if he thinks it's, grossly, erroneous. But that normally is done when the verdict is rendered. I've never seen it go back now in a sentencing phase and have him set aside, and it obviously it must be legal. The guy's a judge,
Right?
but I've never seen that done before, and I think that was totally inappropriate. And I think the sentence, look, even with that set aside on the criminal aspect, what really disturbed me about that entire proceeding was his constant references to how this man had no remorse. He betrayed the people of Fall River. He had no sympathy for the damage he did to the people of Fall River, and blah, 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 blah. And then he gives him a kind of a slap on the wrist sentence. I mean, the way he was talking, I figured he was going to get more than 11. And then he comes out with that in the middle, the pick sitting on a fence sentence. Now, of course, people are going to go, well, blah, listen to the other stuff. But the reality is, if you're talking about this is the height of betrayal for a public official to betray the people he is paid to represent, and then you give him a slap on the wrist, Jesus, now you know why people just don't have any confidence in the government or the judicial system anymore.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But, I mean, even when Jasiel left the court, Jasiel didn't say anything to the court while he was in there at the advice of counsel, which, because he's appealing, is probably a smart move. That's why he didn't show any remorse either, because if he shows remorse, he's admitting to the case. Mm-hmm. And that would affect his appeal. But at the same time, I don't need to hear from his new wife that her biological clock is ticking, and as such, she wants to, make a family. Okay, that's fine. It's wonderful. You want to make a family? Do that. But your biological clock should have no effect on the sentence given to him. And personally, I would have liked to see 12 to 15. That's what I would have liked to see.
Well, I hope she gave credit for that, where that line originated. My Cousin Vinny, the movie My Cousin Vinny,
yep.
Joe Pesci. But yeah, it look, unfortunately, I think we've forgotten that, the old adage, if, you do the crime, be prepared to do the time. And, and I understand it's tough, but the fact is that, hey, he was convicted. But who knows if he's ever going to go to jail? I mean, appeals, there may be a retrial. There's going to be a motion for a retrial. If that's granted, we're going to start this circus all over again. And who knows? I don't think there'll be a retrial. But then again, I also thought, like you, he was going to get, at least 10.
Right.
10 or 11, maybe more. So we were wrong on that one. And, there's a lot of buzz. And, of course, some of the diehard Jasiel people are still, they thought he should have got nothing or, very light sentence. But most of the people I've talked to are not happy. They think that he's got a horseshoe inserted up there. So.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. No question about it. I've been saying that for years. But it's going to be interesting to see because the judge gave them until October. Well, actually today for briefs on the restitution and forfeiture. But I've never heard a judge turn around and say, now you need to list the amounts by charge. I've never heard that. Never in my life have I heard that. But that's another story. That's the first for me. And then they have until October on motions for a new trial and motions to put a stay for execution of the sentence to go to prison. Well, we're out of time. Time flies when you're having fun. I want to thank you all for watching. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. And damn it, get a mail-in ballot. Have a great day.